Imagine a muggy, peaceful afternoon on an estate spanning more than 300 acres of great southern land near Fayetteville, Georgia. This is the Promised Land, a monument to excess that was once constructed by a heavyweight boxing champion and brought back to life by a guy who put dollar signs in his own name. However, Rick Ross, the domain's ruler, isn't just enjoying a bottle of champagne by the pool this afternoon. Rather, he is carrying a pile of legal-sized manila files, and he goes live with a single tap on his screen. This isn't a planned publicity ploy or a promotional feed. This digital execution is raw and unrefined. 50 Cent has been the unchallenged, unbeatable king of social media trolling for more than 15 years. However, in this uncut live feed, the chessboard was violently flipped rather than just sliding. The financial plumbing Rick Ross revealed in the stream not only undermines 50 Cent's self-esteem, but also shatters the economic fantasy Curtis Jackson has been selling to the world for 10 years. You should watch this entire breakdown through to the very end. Ross starts removing sheets of paper from those folders with the cool assurance of an auditor who has waited years for the numbers to settle. These are bank documents from their complex web of cases, unredacted deposition transcripts, and confirmed company filings. The world is forced to see behind the well-kept facade of the G-Unit empire when he holds them right up to the camera on his phone. In a whisper into the microphone, Ross informs 50 Cent that although everyone believes he purchased his enormous Shreveport studio, the bank is the real owner and he is only paying interest. The irony is astounding. The man who spent years making fun of Ross's unpaid taxes and commercial flights, 50 Cent, Music, is suddenly revealed to be a salaried corporate employee whose television shows and physical studios are financially leveraged by outside corporations. Music, the master troll, is now out in the open. In this brutal game of performed riches, the true big boss may have just claimed the throne permanently, as evidenced by his personal balance statements, which look like a foreclosure notice. The digital environment does more than only respond to such a time. It breaks. The raw vertical film was ripped, diced, and sent across the worldwide digital pipeline in a matter of seconds after Rick Ross pressed the end stream button on his phone. The speed and ferocity of 50 Cent's own attacks are the foundation of his whole online relevance empire. Yet this afternoon, he was the target of a viral velocity that he was unable to either avoid or overcome. High-resolution screenshots of the unredacted company documents Ross had held up to the camera appeared instantaneously on X timelines, YouTube commenting channels, and TikTok algorithms. In the past, 50 Cent's social media comment sections served as a monument to his alleged financial invincibility. The internet chuckled along with Curtis, Music, Jackson when he made fun of an opponent's career. Everyone agreed that Rick Ross had made a mistake if he brought up his commercial trip or his Georgia tax execution. However, the rules of participation were altered by Ross's live stream's raw, unedited music. Ross circumvented the casual gossipers and brought the amateur forensic accountants of the internet to the table by bringing real company schedules, municipal leasing agreements, and bank discovery records into an area often used for low-resolution memes. Music, neither normal rap feud exaggeration nor emotional outbursts characterized the initial repercussions. The public's immediate and strong interest in corporate finance defined it. Hip-hop pundits and independent financial specialists started searching public documents to confirm Ross's allegations within hours. Who had better lyrics or greater street credibility was no longer the point of contention. It was a cold, calculated analysis of municipal real estate structures and debt-to-equity ratios. The public was compelled to see 50 Cent's widely reported studio complex in Shreveport, Louisiana, via a clinical, juridical prism. Music, 50 had been riding the local and national news wave for months, portraying himself as a self-made studio mogul who was turning a neglected municipal powerhouse into a Southern Hollywood on his own. However, Ross's documents were like a shoddy paint job solvent. They disclosed that the studio's major acquisition was actually a substantially subsidized leasing deal with the city of Shreveport rather than a purchase of land and brick. A subsidized lease is an excellent tax shelter and a low-risk option in the complex world of commercial real estate. However, it was immediately presented as renting a trophy in the harsh court of hip-hop public opinion. Then followed the attack that went for the power. Television world, which is the pinnacle of 50 Cent's contemporary persona. Music. Curtis Jackson has positioned himself completely above the rap economy for 10 years, portraying himself as a premium cable kingmaker, thanks to his success on television. However, Ross's business flowcharts illuminated the harsh reality of television intellectual property ownership. The legal reality was exposed. The vault's keys belong to Starz and Lionsgate. They are the owners of the intellectual property, the brand, and the characters. Despite being a talented producer and well-rewarded creative, 50 Cent is ultimately a salaried contractor. The empire stays in their vault, not his, if the network chooses to cut connections. The internet was split into fiercely tribal camps by this discovery. G-Unit supporters hurried to teach the fundamentals of leverage, claiming that contemporary millionaires create empires without jeopardizing their own funds by utilizing network support and municipal debt. However, Ross's followers responded with a more straightforward, visceral reality. A municipal landlord is not the boss of a legitimate boss. Furthermore, on a sultry music, Tuesday afternoon, a real boss does not have his personal financial sheets read aloud like a foreclosure notice. As the internet started to realize that the grand illusion of the G-Unit empire might finally have a crack, music, in its foundation, the unedited stream removed the protective sheen of 50 Cent's public relations machinery, music, leaving the master of online humiliation momentarily silent. We must go back to 2008, when hip-hop was going through a significant, seismic upheaval, in order to really comprehend the extent of the destruction Rick Ross unleashed on that unfiltered live stream. Back alley fights and real street territory used to dictate the traditional norms of engagement, but they were quickly being eliminated. A new, even more pernicious arena was taking their place: the struggle of digital narratives. Being a strong lyricist was no longer sufficient. One needed to be a superb brand strategist. Curtis Jackson and William Leonard Roberts were meant to meet across a packed room in this brave new world and ignite a fire that continues to burn over 20 years later. The catalyst was very easy to use. A disdainful, seemingly uninterested expression during the 2008 BET Hip Hop Awards. At the time, 50 Cent was at the pinnacle of his G-Unit empire, supported by Dr. and Eminem and culturally impervious. According to reports, Dre saw straight through Ross. That icy look was an unbearable declaration of war for a rising celebrity whose whole character was based on the unwavering principle of complete respect. The interchange of poetic sparring partners that ensued was not conventional. It was a master lesson in the assassination of asymmetrical characters. 50 Cent walked right to Ross's biography, avoiding the recording booth, music. He discovered a fact that ought to have put an immediate stop to Ross's career by all conventional standards of hip-hop legitimacy. Ross's prior employment as a correctional officer at a Florida jail is documented in official documents. This was the ultimate betrayal in a time when the real street kingpin legend was still strongly ingrained. 50 did not just make the data public. He turned it into a multimedia campaign. He held up prison guard badges on national television, made cartoon caricatures of Officer Ricky, and did widely reported interviews with Tia Kemp, the mother of Ross's kid. However, music, Ross accomplished something wholly unheard of in the genre's history. He just wouldn't give up. Ross delved further into the myth rather than receding. He established Maybach Music Group as an empire, signed eager street-validated talent like Meek Mill, and formally positioned himself as the largest ruler. He demonstrated to the business that a masterfully acted tale is far more potent than a recorded biography in the digital era. However, these two men shared history go well beyond their public conflicts. The same financial weaknesses haunt the same monuments they erected to demonstrate their authority. Consider Rick Ross's renowned estate, the Promised Land, near Fayetteville. Originally constructed as Villa Victoriosa in the 1990s by heavyweight boxing champion Evander Holyfield, this 109-room mansion is situated on more than 300 acres of rural Georgia. It was a tangible representation of Holyfield's enormous sporting victories. However, Holyfield quickly realized that a 54,000 square foot mansion had its own financial implications. The home turned into a luxury line jail because to a $10 million mortgage that skyrocketed to $14 million, crippling child support obligations, and unrelenting IRS debt. Music. In a well-reported foreclosure in 2012, J.P. Morgan Chase reclaimed the property. In 2014, Ross paid $5 to buy the estate out of those financial shambles. The former correctional officer's purchase of a powerful king's castle for $9 million was presented as the ultimate victory. However, the specter of Holyfield's financial collapse continues to hover over those undulating hills. Years later, 50 Cent dryly noted that a house that requires more upkeep than a nightclub is hardly an asset. It is a well-kept black hole that is only waiting for the owner's financial situation to deteriorate. 50 Cent was dealing with his own financial situation as Ross was managing the fragile finances of his Georgia mansion. Curtis Jackson filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2015. Music. Ross's camp hailed it as a resounding win, yet it was a moment of extreme irony. However, 50's bankruptcy was actually the result of a well-thought-out legal ploy. Music. Facing a whopping $17 and a $5 million judgment verdict for disclosing a very private film of Lastonia Leviston, who was dating Ross at the time. 50 filed the federal bankruptcy court to reorganize his debt, freeze his obligations, and protect his personal wealth after receiving a $2 million judgment for a failed headphone partnership with Sleek Audio. The world was forced to distinguish between the highly organized business firms that Music truly controlled his fortune and the get-rich-or-die-tryin' icon when 50 Cent testified under oath that his true net worth was a fraction of his public projection. But like Ross, 50 made it out alive. Rebranding himself as a smart Hollywood producer, he rebuilt his riches around the extremely profitable Power television universe and his G-Unit film and TV production company. These two guys have been navigating parallel pathways of stunning victories and well-shielded financial calamities for the past 15 years. Despite negotiating tax liens, foreclosures, and significant court rulings, these two expert illusionists have managed to persuade the world of their complete financial invincibility. However, Ross caused considerably more harm than simply calling 50 Cent a liar or a snitch by exposing those unredacted business discovery documents to a live camera on a random afternoon. Music. He reminded everyone that the cold, uncompromising laws of the ledger still apply to both the television executive credits and the diamond-encrusted necklaces. At this point, we have to leave the social media theater and join the harsh, antiseptic world of corporate bookkeeping, leasing agreements, and debt-to-equity arrangements. We must examine the precise financial mechanics of what was revealed in order to see why Rick Ross's webcast not only hurt 50 Cent, but song truly threatened to jeopardize his commercial reputation. Music. The gap between being a wealthy individual and becoming a powerful corporate entity is enormous and well maintained in today's entertainment industry. One uses a fee-for-service business model, while the other uses direct stock ownership. Let's begin with the major growth of G-Unit film and television into Shreveport, Louisiana, which forms the basis of 50 Cent's contemporary business story. Music. Curtis Jackson's public relations apparatus portrayed complete city dominance for several months. The G-Unit general had taken over a huge, cutting-edge studio complex to Music, create a Southern Hollywood, according to the headlines. However, Rick Ross revealed a legal truth that Music, any corporate lawyer would have quickly read when he pulled those municipal contracts from his manila folder and held them up to the camera. Millennium Studios was not purchased by Jackson. The city of Shreveport, Music, and his production firm inked a 30-year lease for a site that the city bought for $3.8 million in 2022. The leasing agreement's fine language reveals a far more taxing reality, even though the widely reported $2,400 annual fee seems like a masterclass in negotiating. According to the terms of the contract, G-Unit is solely liable for all capital expenditures, continuing maintenance, and operating costs of a large, outdated concrete factory. The agreement essentially transferred a significant real estate liability straight onto G-Unit's financial sheet, saving the city of Shreveport around $180,000 annually in maintenance. Music. Curtis Jackson is still legally and financially responsible for the bleeding overhead of a massive, vacant municipal white elephant. Regardless of whether the sound stages remain dark, the production schedule slows down, or the local tax incentives, change. Red River Radio +1. Ross then aimed his surgical sarcasm at 50 Cent's famous period with the Starz television network, which is the primary source of his current income. For years, 50 has bragged about his unprecedented $150 million agreement to reveal this television empire's structural limitations. Jackson's overall production contract with Starz was formally terminated in September 2022. Jackson publicly expressed his dissatisfaction in a string of hurried, since deleted social media postings prior to his departure, stating that he was frantically attempting to purchase his world back from Starz so it could accompany him on his journey. Revolt TV +3. However, he was unable to do so since G-Unit Film and Television was never the owner under the television production heritage model. They were only a production vendor that was employed. The underlying intellectual property, copyrights, character rights, and master distribution tapes are owned by Starz and its parent company, Lionsgate. Jackson received substantial compensation as an executive producer and performer, including back-end points and episodic fees, but he had no ownership stake in the underlying intellectual property. Music. The Power universe remained in the Starz vault when his contract ended. He was a glorified tenant farmer on Wall Street property, to use the chilly language of corporate law. Reddit +1. Ross used his own concept of direct, sovereign equity to contrast this corporate reliance. While 50 Cent's riches is tied up in intricate, illiquid network licensing agreements and leveraged municipal leases, Ross's company portfolio is aggressively direct-to-consumer and highly cash flow positive. He is the owner of a vast network of more than 25 actual Wingstop franchise shops. These investments are not risky. Regardless of network contract conflicts or Hollywood writer strikes, they are profitable, high-margin brick-and-mortar businesses that pay dividends every day. Music. His agreements with sovereign brands like Luke Belaire are designed not as simple endorsement arrangements, but as active equity investments where Ross directly benefits in the appreciated valuation of the parent company's liquid portfolio. To push the argument home, Ross uncovered the deepest wound in the catalog: the ownership of 50 Cent's master recordings. Get Rich or Die Tryin' has an undeniable cultural impact, but the corporate vaults of Interscope and Universal Music Group own the legal ownership of those masterpieces. Curtis Jackson earns an artist royalty percentage for each dollar the record makes on contemporary streaming platforms, while corporate stockholders who have never touched a microphone receive the majority of the passive equity flow. Rick Ross did more than simply win a round of online jokes by using real court discovery records to analyze the distinction between seeming wealthy and having true structural liberty. He revealed to an educated and mature audience that the maestro of social media humiliation was fundamentally reliant on the exact corporate gatekeepers he claimed to have outwitted. This served as a mirror to the entire facade of the G-Unit empire. One must leave the cash flow charts and enter the murky, chaotic realm of pure psychological warfare in order to fully understand the nature of this digital execution. Your brand is more than simply a marketing tool in the high-stakes world of contemporary stardom. It is a stronghold of the mind. Curtis Jackson has been an apex predator in this specific theater of conflict for more than 15 years. His approach has always been straightforward but disastrous. Music. Find your opponent's greatest fear, bring it into the public eye, and make fun of it until it becomes their defining characteristic. 50 Cent doesn't try to win debates. Music. He wants to make his opponent insane. In the past, he has weaponized child support hearings, marital conflicts, and leaked personal tapes, turning unadulterated human frailty into incredibly captivating viral material. You fuel the troll if you respond angrily. You give up if you respond in silence. For years, Rick Ross sought to resist this psychological attack by acting as a human shield of sheer luxury. Every time 50 Cent hurled a social media grenade, Ross merely bought another Rolls-Royce, had another expensive pool, music, party, or bragged about another Wingstop franchise. It was a classic defensive strategy, an attempt to outflex the humiliation. But 50 Cent's artistry relied on his remarkable ability to twist those very flexes into proof of financial distress. When Ross released footage of himself enthusiastically cutting his own lawn on his enormous estate, 50 didn't see a self-made guy enjoying his land. He observed a man who couldn't afford to employ a landscaping staff. It was a wonderful stroke of psychological framing. Music, in the court of public opinion, a multimillionaire mowing his own grass is an eccentric hobbyist. A leveraged music, debtor doing it is a